Did you know that making one simple mistake on websites like Ancestry.com could keep you from finding your ancestors? But there's an easy habit that will help you discover more of your family history. The cool thing is, you can use this with any resource that you're using in your genealogy. In this video, I'm going to show you the big mistake I've seen so many people make when using Ancestry, the habit that can help you find your ancestors and learn their stories, and how you can use it no matter what you're using in your genealogy, whether it's a website, a book, or even something in an archive. But to understand what you're doing wrong and see how important this step is, you first need to understand what Ancestry is really showing you. You do a search on Ancestry and get results from collections like Kentucky, U.S. County Marriage Records 1783 to 1965, or Ohio U.S. County Marriage Records 1774 to 1993. But those titles aren't always what they appear to be. Sure, it says Ohio U.S. County Marriage Records, but is it really? Ancestry gets its records from a variety of government agencies, archives, and the like. Sometimes what looks like a statewide collection was put together with records from individual counties, and that's where the problems begin. You can feel like you have a roadblock in your research when you do a search and you don't get the record you were looking for. It's natural to conclude that the event didn't happen or it wasn't recorded, especially when you see that Ancestry has a collection that looks like it should contain the record. The problem could be that the title is misleading, and the mistake I see countless people making is taking those titles at face value. Ancestry, Family Search, and others follow a naming pattern that isn't always obvious. When there are multiple sources for the records, like individual counties, they will group them together into one larger statewide collection, even if all the counties aren't included. Occasionally, they'll have something like selected counties in the title, but that often isn't the case, especially when they're just missing a few counties. Hey, this collection has 86 of Ohio's 88 counties. Let's just name it Ohio U.S. County Marriage Records. No big deal. Well, it is a big deal if the record you're looking for is in one of the two counties that aren't included. And it isn't just locations that are the problem. Dates can mess things up too. Dates in a collection title usually are from the earliest record to the most recent record, even if there are only one or two records with those dates. This can make you think that a collection contains a lot more than it really does. But that's Ancestry and other websites. Certainly when we go to an archive or look in a book, we can rely on the title, right? Not really. Archives also name their collections with the widest span of dates, though they will often add bulk dates to show what most of the collection is. They're also more likely to keep records from individual sources separate rather than mushing them all into one big collection. As for books, it could be called Cemeteries of Madison Township, but it doesn't include all the burials. So if you can't rely on the title of the collection or the book, how do you know what it really contains? How can you avoid making the wrong conclusions? Enter descriptive material, which is a fancy way of saying, here's what this source is all about. On a website, it could be an about page or an FAQ section. In a book, it could be the preface or an introduction. Archives often have what they call finding aids to describe what's in a particular collection. When you take the step of reading the about page or the introduction and you make that a habit, you'll make better conclusions about your searches because you'll better understand what you're really searching. But where do you find this information on Ancestry or Family Search? On Ancestry, scroll down a little bit on the collection page. Under the search boxes is often an About section with more description. But here's a way you can get even more detail. If the collection has images, go over into the Browse section and click into the drop-down menus to see what's available. If you wanted to find a record in this collection from Ashtabula County, you'd be out of luck because there aren't any records from that county. If you wanted a marriage record from Carroll County in the 1940s, you'd also be out of luck because this collection only has Carroll County from 1833 to 1936. You can do the same thing on Family Search. Either go directly to a collection page or click through from a record page. Click Browse Images if that's available. You'll see a list of what Family Search calls waypoints, which is kind of like a table of contents for the whole collection. Browsing through this collection of Indiana marriage records, you'll see that it doesn't include any from Marion County. You can also see the specific years for individual counties. For example, Floyd County only has 1819 through 1920. Seeing these limitations will help you make better conclusions and clue you in that, hey, that isn't included in this resource, so where else can I go look for it? Sometimes there are other reasons why you aren't finding the records that you're looking for, and you need to try some different search strategies. Check out this video to see how you can get around some of those issues and find more of your ancestors.